lots of questions like how long should one lean back, and how to respond when he's contacting, confront or just act like nothing. I get that question all the time. How long do I lean back for? And I think there's a problem in that, even the way that's stated, because it's almost like you're just waiting, like, okay, I'll lean back for 3 days and then I'll lean forward. It's very like tactical, and it's not the right way to go. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Matt.
Yeah, the mistake is that you think that leaning back is some kind of tactic or technique that you're doing, right? Like, like you think that leaning back means that you don't contact him, right? That's the thought process that's going on in this question right here. Is you think leaning back means I don't do anything or I don't contact him, and how long should I do that, right? And so that's the misconception. And the reality is, I did a whole live stream on leaning back, but the reality is that it's not a technique, right? You're not like leaning back for a bit and then having a conversation. It's not ignoring a man. It's not going no contact on a man. It's not doing any of those kinds of things, right? Leaning back is more like a philosophy or a kind of like a lifestyle type of a thing, where you're just leaning back and you're letting the man invest and pursue and give and do all these things, right? And so it's not a point where you start leaning forward, right? You don't want to start leaning forward at all. The only time that you'd want to lean forward is if you were in a relationship and there was something that happened short term that you needed to start addressing and put your energy and effort into, because there's something going on with your partner that was a problem and you needed to lean forward for it. Other than that, it's basically it's creating a space, right? It's receiving a man into your life. It's allowing him to come into your life and do all these things. And we have some like rules and stuff around leaning back, which is different depending on who you talk to. However, it's not a tactical thing. You're not ignoring a man. You're not contacting a man. You're just allowing yourself to receive a man and let him move things forward and do things and plan the dates and initiate the contact, while you can still do some of those things if he's the one doing those things. The point of it is that if he's not doing those things, right, you don't have a relationship there. You have something where you are doing all this stuff and he's leaning back. And usually most guys, they'll lean back in situations where they're not really that into the woman, right? But the problem with you doing everything, because a lot of women would be like, well, if I don't contact him, if I don't move things forward, if I don't set up the date, he won't do anything. Well, a lot of guys who aren't really into the woman, this is the difference between men and women, right? If a man is dating a woman, she's not into him, she's likely to cut things off, right? If a man's not into a woman and she's doing everything, then he is likely to let her continue doing that indefinitely, right? We have women that before they joined our community were in situations where they were leaning forward and the guy was leaning back for years. And they didn't realize that the guy wasn't really into her, that the guy wasn't moving things forward, that this wasn't moving towards marriage and a real committed relationship, and the guy only thought of her as some kind of friend with benefits, hookup, like casual situation for years, right? For years, because she was doing everything and the guy was just lazy and was like, hey, I'm getting my emotional and physical needs met without doing anything. I'm not gonna stop her,
Yeah. That's why we make videos like this, to talk about watching his level of investment. Is he progressing the relationship? Because we don't want any of you getting stuck in a situation where you spend years or decades of your life just like waiting on this kind of guy who's happy to respond to you. Just because he's responding to you and he's being nice and stuff doesn't necessarily mean he's moving things forward towards the committed relationship you want. This was a good example of the leaning back